Good morning, Star City Blood Bowl League. I know it's been a while since we last had an update, but our regular season has ended for season 7. We've kind of gotten the top 4 of each of our divisions, and so they will be competing for their division championship and then come together. The leader of the Blue Ridge and the Mill Mountain division and face off for the championship and the crown of being season 7's champion. So, kind of looking at where we ended up at the regular season, the Blue Ridge Division, the top 4 teams that are making it in, the Kansas City Dark Elf team with 31 points, the Southeast Purple Haze Underworld Denizens with 30 points, the Bloody Barons, a Halfling team at 21 points, and then the Scum Dogs of the Universe, a Chaos Renegade team at 20 points. In this division, there's still only one team that is undefeated, which is the Southeast Purple Haze with 7 wins, 3 draws, and 0 losses. The other teams in there either have 1 or 2 losses. And then kind of looking at the Mill Mountain division, we have 4 teams there. The Thundercocks, which is Orc team, has 35 points. The Northwood Raiders, a Norse team, with 30 points. The Cave Spring Crash, which is a Slam team, at 28 points. And the Taliban Valley Titans as a human team at 23 points. And the same thing here, there's just one team that is still undefeated, which is the Thundercocks Orc team with 8 wins and 2 draws. The other 3 teams have either 1 or 2 losses. So, that all being said, we've got our order. We can kind of look at the upcoming games here. So this is the board that we're looking at right now to crown the champion of the Blue Ridge Division. So we have the Kansas City Dark Elf team against the Scum Dogs of the Universe Renegades, and the Bloody Barons against the Southeast Purple Haze. Alternatively, in the Mill Mountain Division, we have the Cave Spring Crash against the Northwood Raiders, and the Taliban Valley Titans against the Thundercocks. So let's take a little bit closer look at how the honors went for this season. So looking at most valued team right now, it's the Cave Spring Crash at 1640. They're only 110K away from our salary cap, actually, of 1750. The Thundercocks at 1560. A number of teams ended up in the 1400s. And then most fame, there still was only one team that was able to get 7 dedicated fans and hold on to that thus far, and that's the Southeast Purple Haze. And then most experience, the Southeast Purple Haze have put up about a little over, 20 more SPP than any other team in the league right now. Best performance right now, this is a accumulation of touchdowns, casualties, completions, interceptions, injuries, deaths, and fouls. The Southeast Purple Haze lead that with 116. Most scorer right now, the Southeast Purple Haze have put up 22 touchdowns as a team. And the best defense right now, there's a tie between the Thundercocks and Kansas City, which both have allowed 5 touchdowns this year through the 10 games. Most beasts thus far, the Scum Dogs of the Universe, the Chaos Renegades, and the Northwood Raiders have a tie at 23 casualties caused apiece, followed closely behind by the Taliban Valley Titans at 22. Most injured right now, it's the Passing Pathogens ended the season as the most injured team, taking on 20 casualties. And then the most deadly, this is the team that's killed the most players. The Taliban Valley Titans have caused 6 deaths, while the Thundercocks and a number of other teams, the Purple Haze and the Temple City Topplers, have all caused 4. So looking at most dirty playing team, this is the team that fouls the most. The Thundercocks lead that with 33 fouls caused this year, closely behind by the Southeast Purple Haze at 28. As far as most sent off goes, right now, the Liver Spoiled Wretches were caught the most times fouling, and that's a Nurgle team. And then most completions, really this ran away a little bit with the Southeast Purple Haze with 32 completions. The next closest behind was only 19. The best stunty team right now with a win-draw ratio of 0.35 is the Bloody Barons. And the best run, which is the most wins in a row, was the Thundercocks, which they had won 6 games in a row. So let's kind of look at the players as they ended up. So the most valued single player that wasn't a big guy was Dr. Frankenfurter at 205K. Most valued big guy was the Incredible Bulk at 220K. The most valued stunty player was Slade for the Tricera Stompers, which was 120K skink. And then we kind of look at the most experienced. Right now, the most experienced player was Pustulus Maximus with 64 SPP gained this season. Best performance went to Flix Lateral, which was a combination of a whole bunch of metrics added together with 35 points. The most scorer with 19 touchdowns this season was Sneak Scuttlespike at 19 touchdowns. Most beast or most deadly player was Blothar the Berserker, the Renegade Rat Ogre, with 12 casualties caused. Most injured was John Diss, who was injured 5 times, and Gnarls Barkley, who was also injured 5 times this season. Most MVP, there was a three-way tie between Ariel Summerfield, the Predator's thrower, Cyanide, which was the Southwest Venom's blitzer, and Alexander, which was the Mill Mountaineers troll slayer. Most dirty player, this went to Tater Cacklefowl, who caused or took 30 fouls throughout the season. Only was caught 3 times during that, and so he was a real sneaky get. And then most completions, as I mentioned, Flix Lateral had 31 completions, which was almost double that of anyone else in the league. So that's kind of how everybody finished as far as honors go. Now we'll kind of look at the upcoming matches here and see what we have up. So first we have the Scumdogs of the Universe against this Kansas City Dark Elf team. So both of these teams are, it looks like the Kansas City Dark Elves are at a position right now that where they would get some inducements. I haven't checked if they're going to have any journeymen, but right now it's going to be played in winter weather. Let's take a look at the Scumdogs. So the Scumdogs are going to be missing one Renegade lineman. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So only 11 players, no bench for the Renegades, unless they end up purchasing some. But they still have Pustulus Maximus, who is a Movement 7 Dark Elf Renegade with Blodge, 2 heads, and defensive. So very, very difficult to stop. He's scored all but one of their touchdowns thus far this year. Casualty-wise, really, it's kind of been Blothar and Beefcake leading the way. There's been a couple sprinkled ones around here, but it's mainly those two that you have to watch out for. And the Renegade team still does take passes. They do have their Renegade human thrower, which they will pass occasionally with 8 completions. So looking at the last number of games they've played, they've won 3 of their last 5. So they are on a little bit of a winning streak. And then looking at the Kansas City team, they have won 4 of their last 5. 10. So they'll get a journeyman, which will boost them up to 1360, which will make them match. So really no one will be getting inducements for this. It'll just be 11 on 11, no benches for anybody. They're still only sitting at 3 rerolls, which I'm surprised they haven't bought a third one, which would make them a lot more deadly, but it would, of course, give up some inducements to the Renegades. But it's probably worth it, in my opinion. Lots of Blodge and Sidesteppers. Of course, the Wrestle Witch and a Block Dodge Witch, and then a Kick Lineman. So they're going to be able to place the ball really well. They do have another Wrestle Lineman, which will be a good ball sacker. And let's see, when was the last time they played? So when they played, this was round 5, which was 3 months ago. The Scumdogs and the Kansas City team tied 1-1. So the last time they played, it was a tie. I think right now this is going to be a game where it's going to come down pretty heavily to really the armor resistance of the Dark Elves. If they can avoid getting just knocked off the field immediately, then I think that they'll be able to take this one. I'm actually going to give this one to the Dark Elf team on a 2-1 victory. Like I said, I think that they're just going to be able to be a little bit more mobile than the Scumdogs. I don't see any tackle on the Scumdogs, so they're not going to be able to really be able to negate the block dodge of the Dark Elf team. And so as long as they don't double one, they should be able to keep mobile, avoid getting based up, and only really be getting hit by that 1 blitz per turn. So yeah, that's my prediction for this game, 2-1 with the Dark Elves moving on. So now we'll look at the Bloody Barons against the Southeast Purple Haze. So this one right here, we have the Barons have been on a little bit of a winning streak, winning 4 of their last 5. And so taking a look at their team, they still have their block guard trees, a block hefty, and a block surefeet catcher. Leader caddy right there that's a little busted up, so he may be easy to take off. But they have one reroll plus the leader makes two, and then I'm sure they will get another, what do you call it? I'm sure they'll get another Master Chef or something like that during the event to get some more rerolls and still steal some of the Southeast Purple Haze rerolls. Southeast Purple Haze, looking at them, they're all healthy. It looks like they have 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players. With their team right now, it looks like Flick's Lateral's due for a skill up if he decides to. Sneak Scuttle Spike probably will be at 1 after this game if the Underworld make it past this round, and then just 1 point away for Gnaw Toe Cutter to maybe get a skill. So looking at this here, obviously Sneak Scuttle Spike is a problem, hard to stop with his 19 touchdowns scored. It does show me though that the Purple Haze do rely on him heavily to score because they've scored with nobody else. So chances are if you can contain Sneak, then their game plan will probably fall apart a little bit, or at least they'll have to change it up to carry with someone else. Likely Flicks will try and just run it the rest of the way in themselves. But that will shut down that pass and handoff. I guess, if I was looking for something, I'd look for them to be running some stretch plays, probably run sneaks, kind of deep downfield, then run flicks down, make a pass, catch, score. It's kind of one of those, once they try and score, it's usually a 2-turn or a 1-turn kind of attempt, which is good, but it also puts them at risk of, a couple fails, which would have the ball bouncing around and them not be able to recover it. Um, Alternatively, I guess I would just be weary of trying to cut off any passing lanes or anything like that for Flicks Lateral to be able to attempt to deflect or even convert to an interception on any passes. The Claws Brawler here could obviously be a little bit of a problem for the trees, so I would probably look to take out the Troll as quickly as possible, or at least keep it on the ground. But it's definitely a foul target for me. And Gnaw Toe Cutter is probably going to be the guy that's running around blitzing most every turn with his tackle and mighty blow. And so, also another target to be weary of as you're moving around there. That being said, what do I think will happen here? I'm going to assume the Bloody Barons are probably going to take a couple inducements. It'd be probably smart to take Rumbelow plus Griff or Rumbelow plus Deep Root. I'd probably take Griff, honestly, at this point to have the Strength 4, Agility 4, for sure, because he doesn't really have the ability to take on Strength 4 ball carriers. No strip ball or tackle or anything like that other than what Gnaw's able to do. So if you can kind of screen off Gnaw Toe Cutter, then Griff should be able to run around with the ball a little bit. Defensively, they've both been playing very well. I do think this one, I'm going to give it to the Purple Haze. I think it's going to be 2-1, unless the Bloody Barons end up getting like a turn 8 throw teammate score. Then maybe it's 2-1 the other way. But right now I see this favoring the Purple Haze, only because of Sneak Scuttle Spike is just going to be very, very difficult to bring down. And I don't think the Barons have quite an answer for that yet, unless, like I said, they induce Rumbelow, who's got tackle, who's got horns, and it'll be easy to get a 3-die block off on them if they're actually able to get a hit on them. So that being said, I don't see the only thing that I see being good for the Barons is I don't see the Purple Haze taking advantage of their dirty play ability as much here. I mean, fouling a halfling is only so useful. So there will be a couple foul targets out there if they hit the ground, but it's not the same as when the Purple Haze are typically trying to foul really anything. A lineman doesn't matter. As long as it gets it off the field, it's worth trading a Snotling for. So yeah, that's really my prediction. I think it's going to be 2-1 to the Purple Haze winning this one here. All right, next game is the Cave Spring Crash and the Northwood Raiders. This is a 1640 against a 1460 team. Cave Spring Crash have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players. So they're not super bloated. They do have a couple shadowings, which aren't ideal, but it's just 20K. Let's see here, 170K, sitting at 5 rerolls, so that's probably where most of their team value is coming from. No skill ups able to go from right now, so they have the Incredible Bulk, which is a block guard, stand firm, prehensile tail, Croxigore, which is obviously a very good Croxigore. All of their catchers now have dodge, which is very good. One's a block guard, so you could be looking for that to do a 2+ leap into a cage, and then following that with, say, a 3+ leap from Freddy Bounce House, who's a wrestle strip ball player, in an attempt to take the ball down and recover it. So they do have the ability to jump in cages and pop the ball out. Sure hands will obviously negate that. Um, but yeah, that should be. They do have kick, which is good. That was a good random. Um, so yeah, I think this is really a pretty typical slan team. A lot of wrestle, which is good. I think they've been built really well. And then we have the Northwood Raiders, which is a skilled up Norse team. So block Frenzy Ulforeigners. You do have sure hands on KDKTG, so that's probably who you're wanting to carry with. They do have block sure hands, so the sure hands will negate the strip ball. What do we have here? Block dodge. There's no tackle. I still almost feel like I would carry with. Well, it's 1 and 3 versus. Yeah, I think you still want to carry with KDG with the ball carry, even though you have a block dodge with Prism Mike. Um, just from how this is looking, there's no more skill ups for them. Emily the Wicked D, which is Mighty Blow, Block, Juggernaut, Claws. So this is a player that, if they can get the Incredible Bulk, they may be able to claw them and be able to KO them or keep them down or off the field, which will help negate some of the strength. And then at that point, it's just kind of looking at armor, hoping that the block that's available on the Norse team isn't going to be offset too much by the wrestle ability of the Slan. I do think it's going to be very difficult for the Norse to keep up with the Slan if they're getting wrestled down quite a bit, if they get a lot of both downs. If they get pals on the catchers and are able to remove 2 or 3 of those, that really shuts down the Slan offense. Let's see, last time this team played, the K-Spring Crash won 2-1. That was 5 months ago in round 2, so that was when everybody was pretty early on. What do I think is going to happen here? So I think with this match right here, the Cave Spring Crash have an advantage defensively and offensively in this game. The Norse were very, very strong in the beginning of the season, but I think they've kind of hit that point where having a ton of block isn't really helping anymore now that everybody else either has block to match or wrestle or something to negate it. I didn't see guard too much. They don't have hardly any guard. Or they don't have any guard, so they're not going to be able to help prevent the cage dive, leap in that the Crash are going to do. So I'm actually going to give this to the Cave Spring Crash. I'm going to say that it's going to be 2-0. Yeah, I'm gonna say it's 2-0. That the Cave Spring Crash will win this one over the Raiders, and that the Raiders won't be able to score this one, which is pretty rare, I think, looking at the Raiders. They have a couple 0 games. Well, they have 1-0 game. Okay, let's give it 2-1. Either way, I think that the Slan are going to end up taking this one later today. They play today at 1:30 at Mishap. If you're in the area, please go out and see it, catch some of the game. And the last game we have is the Taliban Valley Titans, who snuck in by beating their life partner over, to play the Thundercocks. So the Taliban Valley Titans started off really slow, but they've won 4 of the last 5 games. And the Thundercocks have kind of slowed down a little bit, only winning 3 of the last 5. Both of these teams play very, very close to identical. Actually, the only real differences here are the dirty play of the Thundercocks. So looking at the teams here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 players here for the humans, which includes a halfling hopeful. So really they have 12. 3 rerolls. So they have Cannoneer, Tackle, Mighty Blow, Guard. They do have 3 guard, 4 guard, which is very good. That'll help them quite a bit against the Orc team, which has been able to stack quite a bit of guard. They do have the catch, dodge, block, sidestep catchers. One of them's got movement 9, so they have the ability to score very quickly. Looks like they can random if they wanted to. Probably not worth doing at this point, but it probably wouldn't hurt either. um, okay, so that's their team. And then the Thundercocks are really a team that is 1560 team value. No one's really led too much of anything. It kind of got everything spread around quite a bit. There's a lot of guard there. I think there's 5 guarders, a number of Mighty Blow, some Frenzy, some Block, Dirty Player, and then a Sneaky Get. An Unskilled Troll is out there as well. 3 rerolls plus the leader makes 4, so they're pretty safe against bad rolls. They don't have any skills that they could skill up that wouldn't be just random. They have a couple that are really close, just 1 point away or so. So it's likely that they'll have, 1 or 2 skill ups probably after the next game, I would imagine, if they make it through. So as far as a game plan, the Orcs are planning to just kind of do what they did the last time they played the Taliban Valley Titans, which was go slow and just crunch down on them. And they really did kind of work the armor of the Titans off the field. I think at one point there was one guy on the field, maybe 2 for the Titans near the end of the game. But it ended up being a win for the Thundercocks 2-1. My prediction is still the same, that it's still going to be 2-1. I don't think that I'm going to be able to stop the Titans from getting in like a 2-turn, pass or random, go for it with their movement 9 catcher. But it's something that as long as the pass, say, didn't go well, or the catch or something like that, it could even be a 2-0 game. But I think that I'm going to give it to where at least the dice will favor the humans a little bit and give them the chance to score one. That game is Friday the 30th at 10 a.m. if you want to tune in and watch. And so what did I not cover? I guess the only thing I really didn't cover was inducements. So the Northwood Raiders are going to get 40 plus another 140, so 180K in inducements, I think. And what would they get? Probably Rumbelow would be a good move. That's the move, I think. Rumbelow is such an underrated star. No tackle there. 210. Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would probably take Rumbelow. Let me make sure I'm doing my math right here. Or I think I am. Yeah, because 100 would be 1560, and then another 100 would be 1660. Yeah, so 180K. So if it was me, I'm taking Rumbelow as the star. He's going to start working those catchers off the field with his tackle and horns and block. I think that's the move. I don't know what they've planned, but hopefully they planned it. All right. So I guess that's really it. Good luck to everybody. What we're trying to do is kind of rush these playoffs, try and get 1 game a week, so that we can hopefully finish and crown a champion in person by our January 14th get together. So if we can knock, this round out this week, one after that, the next week, and maybe early the next, I may even be able to get a trophy printed and we can present that on the 14th to the person in time. We'll just have to see how it goes. The only game that's not currently scheduled is the Kansas City Dark Elf and the Scumdogs of the Universe. So once we have that, obviously tune in with that as well. But good luck to everybody. Obviously, the winner of these 2 matches will face each other for the Blue Ridge Champion. The winner of these 2 matches will face each other for the Mill Mountain Champion. And then those 2 champions of the Blue Ridge and the Mill Mountain will face off for that championship title for Season 7. So I guess I want to really thank everybody for playing this season. Please thank you for playing all your games if you were able to get them all in and not forfeiting or missing them. I know life stuff happens, and this was a long season, longer than we typically ever do. And I think that a lot of coaches really enjoyed to be able to build their team up a little bit further than they typically would be able to. So I really appreciate everybody sticking with this. I know it was a 4 or 5 month season, which was very long, but I'm really excited for the next season. I hope all of you come back and play again, and I hope everybody has a happy new year. Thanks.